Hi, first grade students. We're going to learn some grammar. We have the first thing we're going to go over here is chapter 24 test, and that's on page 77. I provided you with this page. I'm not going to do all of this with you, but I see from some of the grammar that was turned into me a few days ago. In general, you kids are doing great, but there are a few areas that you need help with, and that's fine. You know, our school year was disrupted, and we're going to do it this way via video. All right, so first let's review. We're going to classify. You're going to classify both sentences, but right now we'll just do this first one together. Let's talk about what a subject noun is. That is who or what is the main object, or the main idea, or the main thing of the sentence, of what the sentence is referring to. Verb, of course, is an action word. And that's it's not only action that you can see with your eyes, it's also action. You know, thinking is a verb, and that you don't see with your eyes. That goes on in your brains, your wonderful brains that God provided you. Adjectives go with nouns. They modify nouns. They tell which one, how many, what kind. So a lot of times adjectives are like colors and numbers. Adverbs go with verbs. If you can hear the word verb in both of those. And that tells when, where, or how the action happened. Article adjectives, those are kind of the easiest of all because there are only 3 of them. An, a, and the are the 3 article adjectives in English. And preposition, that is a word that connects another noun to the rest of the sentence. So it's a precursor kind of to the noun that's being connected. We'll talk about that more. And then, of course, the object of the preposition is a noun also. So let's go ahead. Like I said, you are going to do sentence number 2 on your own. You're going to do this section on your own. By the way, you kids did really well on this section on synonyms and antonyms. Go ahead and fill in this section. I think I have you fill that in. I'll go over this with you in a few moments. But first, let's go ahead and start classifying and labeling our sentence number 1. Let's read it together. The bouncy little puppies barked loudly in the store. Someone asked me if it'd be okay to look for the verb, the simple predicate first when we are classifying these. And yes, you may. If that's easier for you, go ahead. It's either going to be though the subject noun you find first or the verb you find first. Let's go ahead for fun. We'll try to find our main verb. Read again, a little more slowly this time. The bouncy little puppies barked loudly in the store. Let's see. Action. I want you to find the verb on your own. I'll give you a few seconds. So I hope that you put your V above the word barked. Barked. Barked is definitely action. That's when a dog expresses itself, and so it's doing something. So now let's go ahead and find our subject noun. Who or what the sentence is about. The bouncy little puppies barked loudly in the store. Let's see, a noun is person, place, or thing, and our subject noun is who or what the sentence is about. I want you kids to go ahead and label what you think the subject noun is. And go ahead. I hope you put SN above there. If you didn't, that's okay. Just erase it because you should be using pencil. So now we have our subject noun, puppies, and our main verb, barked. We know exactly where to chop this sentence now, don't we? From the subject part of the sentence will be all this, and the predicate part of the sentence will be all of that. Let's go ahead now and work on our subject part. If you remember, well, we already talked about how adjectives are words that describe nouns. So our noun is puppy. Little, does that describe the puppy? Does it tell what kind or which one? Yes, it sure does. So guess what? This is going to be our ADJ. And then bouncy. Does that describe what kind of puppies they are? It sure does. So we're going to put ADJ there also. Both those words describe the puppies. This actually also describes the puppies too, our article adjective. But of course for that one, all we have to put is a capital A. So we have all our words labeled. Now we're going to go down here and label the rest in the predicate part of the sentence. Barked loudly. Loudly barked. Does that describe, does loudly describe how the action happened? It sure does. Let's go ahead and make ADV, adverb, because it does describe how the action happened. Now the next part is actually our prepositional phrase. Now prepositional phrase always begins with a preposition. I'm going to put, and go ahead and look at your chart if you're not sure later when you're doing some of these on your own. And you can see if in, is that the word in, is it going to connect a noun to the rest of the sentence? Yes. And let's go ahead and find out what the preposition is referring to. It's referring to store. Remember, object of prepositions are nouns, person, place, or thing. So yes, in, the preposition is referring to the store. And the easiest one of all is right there in the middle. The article adjective known as the. All right, so you, on your own, you're going to do sentence number 2. You're going to do synonyms and antonyms. You're going to fill in 5 parts of speech that you've learned. Just the abbreviations is fine, just like we did up here. I do want to talk to you about this section. The reason I put it optional is this is a great program, but one flaw they have is that they have, when at level 1, they have students memorize past tense verbs are labeled as number 1. Present tense verbs are labeled number 2. And the future tense verbs are labeled number 3. Let's talk for a moment about what all those mean. Okay, verb, of course, we know is action. Action can happen right now. Now, right now, I am writing with a pen. Action can happen in the past. It could be 1 second ago, or it could be, thousands of years ago. And that would be a past tense verb. Or an action can happen in the future. It hasn't happened yet. It can happen, a minute from now or thousands of years from now. So you've been using these words all your life. It may sound like a lot of information all at once, but you've been using these words all your life, so you're going to be fine. My problem with this program is that next year, kids, when they learn level 2, have to completely relearn. They have to put different numbers down for the present tense and the past tense. So some students, I have had students who struggled. They got it set in their mind what number goes with what verb tense, and then the following year they come back and they have issues with it. And some kids don't have issues. Some kids just relearn the different number for the different tense. It is also a little more time consuming for me when I'm correcting. I have to stop and think, oh yeah, level 1 it's these numbers, and then level 2 it's those numbers. So anyway, it's a good practice for you to get a little bit familiar with verb tenses. And if you think you can handle it, that's fine. However, next year for level 2, the numbers for each tense will be different. So it's up to your parents also. Contractions. You kids did wonderfully at the contractions that you had last year. It was your first lessons on contractions, and I was very impressed. So go ahead, and some of these you're going to make 2 words into a contraction, or in the case of cannot, that's just 1 word, but you still can contract it. And at other times, you're going to take a contraction and chop it back out into 2 words. Isn't becomes is not, and so on. So go ahead and do that while we're. I'm gonna stop there and go make a new video for our next page. All right, bye, kiddos.